All right. Next, I've already skipped forward on this because I knew they were going to talk about other stuff. Since this is an official podcast, clearly they do this regularly. Skipped forward to where they're going to start talking about the acquisition. Try to make some predictions here. I don't know. I think Phil's probably pretty happy at this point, finally getting that through. Regulations in the EU across the world they had to get through. It's a pain in the ass. Let's take a look.
But the reason, as much as we'd love to continue talking about that with you, Phil, also the big deal has closed on Friday. I'm seeing a lot of headlines, a lot of YouTubers saying things like, it's done. And we were talking earlier, this isn't the end. This is really the beginning with Xbox and Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, I think the regulatory process, let's just say it took so long that it almost felt like the game or the kind of goal itself was to get through the regulatory process. That's just the beginning. In fact, this evening I'm flying to Stockholm to see the King team. It's a team I don't know that well, so I'm really excited to go see them. I think we're in Stockholm and then London.
Worldwide
they have a couple other locations. I don't know that we're going to make to all the locations, but I'm really excited about seeing the teams. The following week, I'm going down to Southern California. I'll go to Blizzard. I'll go see Activision. And to me, when I think about where we're trying to go, it always starts with the teams, right? The teams have to feel motivated. They have to feel inspired. They have to feel safe. They have to feel heard. And because their passion, their commitment to the things that
Did you just say safe? Wait, safe and heard?
Heard. They have to feel inspired. They have to feel safe. They have to feel
safe. Your job might be in danger. We have too many employees.
Heard. And their passion, their
restructuring
the
is
things
the term
that
they use nowadays.
The way they
Not
run
layoffs.
their games, that comes from the culture of who they are. I've said it many times. I think teams ship their culture in everything they do, whether it's implicit or explicit. You can kind of feel the dynamic.
Exactly. Well, he's talking about the culture in the games. It's the same thing when I was talking about just earlier on creating this avatar. There is something intrinsic to each person that they bring into the whatever art they're making, and that could be VTuber like this flashy guy, or that could be a game. So completely agree with Phil here.
The team and the creative output, whether it's a band, whether it's a writer, whatever. So spending time with the teams and getting to hear from them where they're going. I have some of my own opinions, of course, but they're just opinions. This is getting time with the teams, thinking about where we're trying to go.
What game could that be?
Looking at the games and where we are and where the roadmap. That's really where the work is, and I'm very, very excited about that.
And as part of that journey, obviously, there's the big burning question that everybody would like to know, and you mentioned it in your Xbox Wire post.
Coming back? That's what people want to know.
I think that's what you want to know.
Might be one of my questions.
Yes, but that is part of it. But it's also, and you wrote in your Xbox Wire post last week as well, that the work has started on bringing Activision Blizzard King games to Game Pass and other platforms. And I think like speculation and wish lists have been running wild ever since last week. So I'm sure you've seen all of that. But what does that mean exactly, especially when we think about our last acquisition in 2021 with Bethesda? There was a fairly immediate drop of back catalog games. So I think people are looking to that and wondering, is that kind of how the format is going to go now, or what does that actually look like?
And I think rightfully so, right? When we finished Bethesda, there was this great moment. We were able to put a bunch of the back catalog games in, celebrate their history. The truth of the matter is, with Activision Blizzard King, that the regulatory process took so long, and frankly, there was a lot of uncertainty in that process up until really a week before we closed, or the week of, when the CMA finally came down to their decision, that we weren't able to get in and work with it's mostly Activision and Blizzard in this case, on that back catalog work. So now that the deal is closed, we're starting that work, but there is work. And I think the Activision Twitter handle or X handle, whatever we're calling it, did put out a statement.
Nobody knows whether it's Twitter or X. I kind of want to open up the Game Pass and take a look what's in there right now. Maybe we can take a look at the new releases.
But Twitter handle did put out something that talked about 2024. I think that's accurate. There's no There's no I would love it if there was some kind of secret celebration drop that's coming in the next couple of weeks. There's not. It's definitely when we think about the new games that are there.
No, they got too
I would be
much on their
straight with
plate.
people, right?
No
if
way.
we were going to put them in the subscription this year, I would tell people, and I know there'll be some disappointment about that. This acquisition is definitely long-term. So the fact that we're not hitting day one with a bunch of games
2024
to Game Pass,
first game,
is a little bit of a downer, but I'm very excited about the future, and I just want to be straight with people that that's where we are.
There you go, addressing the rumors. Now let's talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 coming out next month. Very excited. I played the beta over the weekend.
The open beta, what did you think?
It's very interesting getting humbled by your reaction time going down every single year.
Okay, young man.
It's very clear that
I count my reaction time in like tens of seconds now.
Well, people are getting really good at the game. But to that point, like people are really excited about it. And I think for players who may not be playing on Xbox, they want to know, what does this mean for them on their platform? Like, is Xbox going to see exclusive DLC, early release, things like that? So what can you tell players who are looking to play Call of Duty on other platforms?
And when we say other platforms, I think we're talking about PlayStation.
Yeah, I think
that other one.
Yeah.
Because I think the PC player,
bro, he just cuts right through whenever interviewers they want to say something. He's like, "I've done this since you were in diapers, bro. I know how interviews work." He just cuts right through the, what do you call that? Political speak. Whenever they just dodge questions and talk around a subject. Yeah, Phil's good. Really good interviewer or interviewee.
PC players, their PC is unique, and I want it to feel like it's part of the overall gaming platform that Xbox focuses on. We've been on that journey for a while with our first party and our Xbox app on PC.
The Game Pass.
There's a lot of work for us to continue to do there. For Call of Duty players on PlayStation and in the future on Nintendo, I want you to feel 100% part of the community. I don't want you to feel like there's content you're missing out, there's skins you're missing out, there's timing that you're missing out on. That's not the goal. The goal is 100% parity across all platforms as much as we can for launching content. I say as much as we can on parity because clearly some platforms have resolution and frame rate differences just based on perf. But there's nothing else. We have no goal of somehow trying to use Call of Duty to get you to buy an Xbox console. So it is.
You heard that? Gotta quote that. They're not gonna leverage the Activision IPs to sell their console. So they're not in the business of selling hardware. They're in the business of selling software. And that's been actually the message for a while, ever since they were developing the Game Pass. Hardware doesn't matter anymore. That's why console wars, whenever people talk about that stuff, it's irrelevant. Maybe it isn't for PlayStation. Their hardware is king, which is why they have exclusives. But, I mean, Xbox learned to diversify and decide to go into the subscription service. And it's working out for them. And the consumer. Super consumer friendly. Hell yeah.
The Call of Duty Nation to feel supported across all platforms. We've been on the other side of some of those skins and times, even this beta.
Dude, I want to play zombies.
It wasn't on Xbox the first week. I don't think that helps the community. I don't think that helps the game. And so it's the focus. If you're a PlayStation player, you're a Nintendo player, PC player, or an Xbox console player, I want you to feel like 100% part of the Call of Duty Nation.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about, we were talking about the rumors of when, things might appear on Game Pass. The other sort of set of rumors or speculation out there. There's only two, right? Is like,
only two?
Are you bringing back Guitar Hero or Tony Hawk, or would you have Infinity Ward work on this Xbox IP or franchise or something like that? And that stuff's been, there was 20 months to think about those types of things.
Yeah.
But now that officially the team has joined as of Friday, so you have 9 studios. There's a wealth of IP from Activision. How are you thinking about
on the list
these new
earlier.
teams, these new franchises, or new to us franchises? How do you even take all of that in?
Yeah, the first thing, as I kind of mentioned before, is to go spend time with the teams. Because I just don't think that a team working on something that isn't their passion leads to the best result. So I might have my list
He is
of
saying all
things
this
from my
because of the
memories
Redfall
and history
result.
that I want to see
I mean,
made
part
again.
of it. I'm not saying
Everybody
exclusively,
will,
but
right?
that's
When I just
probably
think
a
about
large part.
not
He
just
does not
about
want that
Activision
to
Blizzard
happen.
King, you add in Bethesda,
Again.
you add in Xbox's
That's how you
history,
tarnish a reputation.
Rare, like the amount of franchises that we now have in our portfolio it's kind of inspiring. It's daunting. I feel that we have to be a great custodian for the content that we touch. These are memories from people on different platforms, different decades.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that when we're going back and visiting something, that we do it with our complete ability, a motivated team that wants to go work on something and make a difference, not just create something for financial gain or create something for a PR announcement and not deliver.
Man, I hope I can believe you.
So I'm going to start with the teams and what are they passionate about. That's why I'm excited to go on these visits.
Saying all the right things.
And then we'll look at it. Like I think we've done an okay job as Xbox. I don't think we've done kind of an A+ job on looking at our franchises and revisiting them. It's always a trade-off.
Oh, revisiting.
That's new.
Did you hear that? Revisiting. That means he's going to bring up old franchises. You know those people in the comments we saw earlier? How they wanted... they were looking for like a new Spyro and... Prototype. Yeah. Might see those. He just said, bringing up old franchises.
And going back and doing something. I do think with Game Pass, we have the ability to maybe pick a couple franchises every year and almost do like a revisited. I just made up that term, so it's not a brand.
It's not on a box.
It's not on a box, but you know, I tease about things like Hexen just because I remember playing it as a kid. I have no plan for that. But I do think when you look across all of the franchises and are a part of our teams, there's an opportunity for us to go back, even if it's just to recognize the moment and what those things meant in gaming's history and do something right with it, make it available to people through Game Pass. I think there's an opportunity. There's not a plan for that, but there's an opportunity. If teams want to go back and revisit some of the things that we have and do kind of a full focus on it, I'm going to be all in on that because I think there's just an amazing trove of things that we can go and touch. It doesn't have to just be about Activision Blizzard.
What they're interested
when you look
in.
Across all the portfolio,
Which
I think
is
about
great.
things like the Quake 2 remaster. It just came out from it.
You hear that from the CEO.
Right? They did a
others below him will
good
listen.
job revisiting a game, making it current, but also not leaving the history behind. So I'd love to see more things like that.
Man.
So you mentioned the trove of
Maybe
content,
it's a good thing.
the
They'll
treasure
just
trove,
acquire everything.
and you've mentioned
Right,
Hexen.
Yeah.
I think so. It fits. But are there, Hexen's maybe a deep cut for some because it's a shooter from the 90s, and we obviously have a very wide-ranging community. Are there any other games or franchises, just for you personally, deep in the vault that we can now potentially explore, that you're just personally excited for people to discover for the first time?
I don't think he's going to give his personal
rediscover?
opinion. It's going to be ones related to projects.
I hadn't really thought about that question. Specific on Activision and Blizzard. There's some moments in Activision's history. You mentioned Tony Hawk, you mentioned Guitar Hero, even things like Skylanders, or that were moments where the teams kind of innovated outside of expectation. What do you mean? I'm going to carry a plastic guitar and plug it into my console.
Exactly.
That's never going to work until it worked. And then everybody said, well, of course that was going to work. Skylanders kind of the same way. For me personally, though, when I think about the franchises, I kind of go back to things like some of the old Infocom things that were, like if you just asked for me personally, part of my youth, the Text Adventure Zork, those kind of things. I think about King's Quest. I thought they did a really nice job. But like those, the Sierra catalog, the Infocom catalog, just
from
Xbox,
my age, I'm good.
Like those things speak to me because they were moments in my gaming career, my gaming kind of experience that really meant something. And I love those. When you think about Blizzard and all these things that they've done, like amazing franchise, StarCraft, like it was in the video that the teams did, which I know there's been some discussion about should we have done a video for an acquisition or not, but there's just some amazing franchises in there. Most important is that we treat them with the respect that they deserve, and we don't turn it into some way for us just to
look, we've acquired the entire planet. Woohoo!
100%. By the way, I almost cried at that video. That was a cool video that we put out on Friday. So Come on, everybody.
I like the video. I like the video.
Really?
I saw some
Awesome.
people.
I thought it was
Really?
awesome. But
Okay.
so we've been talking about, obviously, we've been
That's
doing the
a bit
show for a
dramatic.
few weeks now. We've been talking about Diablo, Overwatch, all these awesome games that Activision and Blizzard.
Overwatch 1.
both
We don't
work on,
care
but
about Overwatch 2.
we talk about
Do
ABK.
not care.
The K stands for King.
Yeah.
And that's definitely mobile gaming focused. And so how are you thinking about mobile gaming as it pertains to Xbox?
Please stay away.
My goal
Do not care.
as head of Xbox,
Make money.
I've been here over
Good
20
development.
years. I want Xbox
PC.
to be a great
Xbox.
brand, a great community for people
Consoles.
over the next decades to come. So when I've thought about that, of what do we need to have in our portfolio and our capability as a team to ensure 30 years from now, Xbox is bigger and stronger than it is today, we've got to be relevant on mobile. There's just no way to really plot
Yeah,
the
you want the
future
billions of
without
dollars that
being
those
on
apps
the
pull, and of
platform
course
that
you're gonna
most of
say
the
that.
planet plays on.
Jeez.
The games are different. The business models are different. The whole dynamic of how you distribute, how
Yeah.
you find games is different.
Microtransactions are
So when I
dollars
was looking
instead
at
of
that, I
$40
needed to
on
find
PC.
a team that's had amazing success for us to learn from. So literally, Amy Hood, who's the CFO of Microsoft, and I went through a list of who are the most accomplished publishers in the mobile space. And
Ooh.
most people wouldn't have expected, I think, I didn't, that Activision would have been as high with the King work, as well as the Call
Yeah.
of Duty mobile.
Call of Duty
Warzone
Mobile in
stuff
China is
that they've been
insane.
doing, Diablo Immortal.
Diablo Immortal.
And so I want to go learn from those
Billions and
teams, because I
billions
think
and
it's
billions.
critical for us to deliver on the full promise of over 2 billion people playing, the opportunity to reach more of 3 billion people playing video games, to reach more and more
Yep.
people, that people who only play on their
China.
phone find Xbox to be something that's
China.
interesting for them. It doesn't mean I want to turn all of our franchises into mobile franchises. It doesn't mean everything's going to go free to play. I
Good.
think the
Don't.
distribution and business model kind of diversity that we have is a strength
Diversify
of
your
the platform. People
portfolio,
who want to buy
Phil.
games, I love that. People want to subscribe to their games. It's great. Free to play games are great as well. But I'm really looking forward to learning on mobile, because it's the truth of the matter is if you're going to continue to be relevant in gaming at a global scale, you're going to have to find a
true.
way to be relevant on the largest platform, which is mobile. So
Southeast
looking forward to
Asian,
flying and seeing King and talking to them and learning.
Japan,
Yeah, like you
Korea, they
mentioned, you're heading out
love.
to Stockholm
Yeah.
here,
Phone
later
games.
today.
I don't know
Xbox
if
is
Japan
already
loves phone
a
games, but
big
definitely
team,
Korea,
and now it
China.
is, much bigger with
Asian
like
countries.
you mentioned, 9 years
doubled.
studio. We double. I don't know
kinda
where you find the
daunting.
time in the day, but how hands-on do you expect you will be with our new teammates?
Yeah, and some people here know that
Hmm.
I'm a big consumer of what we do. I play a lot
Everybody's
of
hands off.
games. I have opinions. They're not always right.
Give 'em
They're definitely not
direction,
always
but
right.
Make sure that they're
But
creatively
I've already started asking questions and giving my
happy,
point of
not
view.
starved.
I'm not one that says thou must, like we have to go do this.
Yeah.
But asking questions both to learn and to see what we're thinking about and where the ambition is. But I rely on
to
the
a
teams.
CEO. You need to talk to the first line
I get the
managers of those
title. I
teams.
get to come
What
on
do they call
cool
them?
podcasts and
Creative
talk too
directors.
much.
They'll know.
But the work that happens here is really down to the individuals on the team. From people who are on camera 5 times in the last 5 weeks as opposed to 1 time in the last 5 weeks, the people you can't see that are behind the scenes that make sure these shows happen, the people who are the community managers for the games at places like Minecraft, places like the
Minecraft
Forza
Legends
team, and all,
sucks.
it
I don't
is
care for
the
sports
most important
games.
thing
Next.
I can do is empower the teams. An empowered and motivated team that feels like they have kind of agency and ability to drive their own vision with a perspective that maybe I can help. That is if there's anything I can do in my role, it's empower the teams and make them feel safe, make them feel like failure's okay. Let's go learn. And then I get out of the way, because it's decisions that come from this head are not going to be the future of this business.
That's what a lot of
It's really gonna be
CEOs do.
about the now
Creative
tens of
vision.
thousands of people that work on Xbox and what they see, and listening to our customers.
No
It's why I
micromanaging.
like moments
Macro
like Minecraft
only.
Live, HCS. I got to speak with so many people at Halo last night. I'm going to events, listening online, playing on Xbox Live P3, and listening to the feedback that people have, because I want everybody who's part of Xbox, whether you're a customer or you're part of the team, to feel like you have an ability to craft where we're going, as much as I do, frankly.
Yeah, well said. And I can personally attest to that as well.
Trust me,
At
gamers
least in
are
the ways
vocal.
of which my job intersects
You will
with
know
your
when we
world,
like or
your
do not like
overarching
something.
world. where we do get that opportunity and see that you give us the range and the space to kind of make decisions in a cumulative way. So thank you for that. I've appreciated that in my last year that I've been here.
Even you and I, before you came here, we would sit down when we would cross paths at events. And I always loved that you had a perspective on things that we were doing well, things that we could do better. It's why I thought you being part of the team would be awesome.
Thank you.
But it is listening to smart people who care about this industry, who care about growing this industry in a safe way and an inclusive way.
Dang,
and
CEO
see there's
just
so much
gave her the
opportunity
thumbs
with
up.
gaming, interactive entertainment as a form of community, as a form of education, as a form of
Must feel
joy
great.
and just fun. There's so much opportunity in this space, but it's not about 3 or 4 people making all the decisions for the industry. It's about the industry feeling like they have hands on the steering wheel as well.
Wait, how would that happen if let me just click right over here. If this is the case, how would that happen if you own everything? What am I talking about? The fact that you just said he wants to have a lot of studios being able to create the industry. I only see Xbox up here, and they're kind of controlling everything. I get it, there's a lot of independent developers, but I mean, in the console space, no, there's not. No, there's not.
So people who I interact with and have a real constructive perspective come be part of Team Xbox.
And on that note, too, I think for me personally, I love what Activision has been doing with Call of Duty Next. They just had one recently, too, a broadcast where they show off just tons of news and gameplay and bring their community into the fold. It's a pretty new broadcast for them. And I love that it is a presentation format, like there is news going into it, but at the same time, they invite over 200 creators and streamers.
I wonder how they do that.
It's wild. Everything is rigged with the ring lights and like their own connection to be able to stream directly into the presentation itself. So they're really welcoming the community into the broadcast, into the news. And to me, it tells me that they have a finger on the pulse in terms of their community, as well as modern ways of approaching broadcast. So obviously, since I'm responsible for what we call Premier Broadcast here at Xbox, that's something I'm personally really interested in and have been observing from afar. And now I get this opportunity where we are teams together and we can learn. So now that Activision Blizzard leadership is reporting to you, what does that mean and how do we come together to learn from each other?
Yeah,
talk more about the inner workings of the deal.
Especially when we think about greater Microsoft, right? It can, for teams coming in, I think sometimes it can be overwhelming. I think maybe in the case of Bethesda, I think about that journey and some areas where I wanted us to go faster and maybe some areas where I wanted us to go slower.
I don't know, that was pretty fast.
Bethesda was a little different just from
announced
history because it closed
it's in Game Pass tomorrow.
Which had its own set of issues in terms of us getting the teams together. My first goal is to identify the teams at ABK where we can create connection. One of the cool things about going to King is, as I think you mentioned, we have the Mojang studio there. There's already a lot of shared history between those two teams. Now they're all part of the same company.
What do you mean?
So I don't think we're going to be in the way of those teams making connections. When I think about the broadcasts that they do,
and
BlizzCon's another thing that's coming up.
Wait, is Stockholm in Sweden?
How do we going, right? We got to go to BlizzCon.
I've never been to a BlizzCon, so that would be fun. Maybe Michael invite me.
No idea.
See. But for me, it's identifying the teams, making sure they're settled, because you got to think about these are teams that have been under a certain kind of ownership structure for 40 years. And now all of a sudden they're part of Microsoft. They're part of Xbox. So showing up, being there in person. When I'm going to Stockholm, it's not just me. Our leadership team is going. I want to be listening more than talking.
Yeah.
And then finding those opportunities. I'll say my inbox is already full from a lot of people at Activision, Blizzard, and King who want to make those connections, who want to both have a voice in what we do, but also listen and from how we do things. So I think the opportunity is going to be there. It's going to be making the connections between our leaders and making sure we all go in with the
selects all emails,
not
puts
that
in the
we know
trash.
what's
All
right,
right,
but let's listen and learn because they do a ton of things very, very well.
It's all about that dialogue. Now I want to take a look back to take a look forward. So almost a decade ago, you got the job. Awesome. I remember the video of you in Studio D with Larry. I don't know if you...
I know, yeah.
I go back and watch it from time to time because it's really interesting to see how Xbox's vision and journey has changed. And now we're going through this new phase.
He's got more white hair.
Blizzard, King, Bethesda.
Must be stressful.
What is getting you as excited as you were back then about where Xbox is going?
We'll go through the...
It's funny. I think there were a lot of cartoons written from
Take
when Larry and I did that of me saying games, I think dropping some mic. I don't actually think I said that, but the sentiment was nice. I've always thought that having a strong creative organization was going to be critical to our path forward. I don't see how we build a platform without the voices of our creative leaders right there, and here's what they want out of a platform. And when I think about now the breadth of just players that we have, creators from Candy Crush to Hearthstone to Starfield, like, to Minecraft to State of Decay 3, right? You have like a breadth of creations that want to come out on our platform and other platforms. And what can we do to enable that? I am more excited about being here than I've ever been with the opportunity ahead. I mean, it's interesting. One of the members of our community who's awesome, his name's Clobril, and he's very good at building graphics. He built that like 2017 to now. I kind of looked at it.
He did this.
I was almost daunted by the change.
Let's take a look at this. Is this the same thing? Yeah,
People want to go on Twitter and find.
Oh, nice picture with each one. Okay. I have a hard time remembering what the studio's created, but this is nice. Holy smokes. Wow. Can't say I've played all of them, but I'm aware of all of them. I mean, I've played a lot of these franchises, but maybe not the specific ones they're showing. Like, I haven't played the latest Diablo, for instance, or again, me with sports games, especially the driving ones. I only remember playing Need for Speed. I don't care for the modern ones. Obsidian Games, Grounded's awesome. Wow, that's cool.
He's an awesome member of the Xbox community and creates great graphics. But the growth in our creative capability was something that I thought was important from the beginning. Certain people would get upset that it wasn't going fast enough. Our first acquisition was Minecraft, and then we went through and we Double Fine and Undead and the list of a bunch of playgrounds.
I mean, it didn't matter. Everyone had Minecraft.
But like we added a bunch of teams, and then Bethesda.
Great game, regardless.
Activision Blizzard King. I'm just incredibly excited. I'd
Xbox,
be remiss if I didn't say
on all that
a
stuff,
little intimidated. You know, I see a lot of people who claim I've been trained for this
just
job.
Like they're doing
I
with the
think you
Blizzard
all know
stuff.
that
increasing the price.
There's no training I go through, right? I'm always learning every day, both on the PR side and from the leadership side. So it's maybe when I thought about starting my career, I never thought this
the Call of Duty
where
actually.
I would be.
Yeah, there was I think it was this week earlier. Saw a post of Xbox going to increase the cost of all the old Call of Duty games. And if you've been trying to buy those things and you look on Steam, man, they've maintained their price forever. There's never been like a 80% off. It's always like 15% off. When was that game released? 2005. What? Bro. And it's $35? Yeah, it's $35. Okay. And now they want to increase it even more. Fine.
But when I talk to the teams and I hear from the individuals who want to be part of this and the opportunity that we have ahead of us, that's the part that just gets me up every morning, 5 o'clock this morning, ready to do this, ready to go to Stockholm today.
All right. That's cool. I'm glad the CEO of Xbox is really looking into these things and being really active with their teams, because, I mean, Bobby Kotick from Activision, the first question he asks, how can we make more money? I feel like Phil would probably say, how can we work with the team rather than how do we milk the franchise and make mobile games out of every IP that we have? We only made 500 million? You're fired. We should have made 2 billion. But yeah, Xbox is in good hands. I like him.